Hello, and welcome back to DevOps Easy Learning. Today's session is all about infrastructure automation and scalability using launch template and auto-scaling group in the AWS cloud. If you've ever wondered how cloud native apps scale during traffic spikes and shrink when demand is low, this is how it's done. Uh, we are going to walk through a demo to see how we can create a launch template and how we can associate it with an auto scaling group and use it to manage the scaling in and scaling out of our EC2 instance. But before we go into the hands-on demo, let's get an understanding on what the launch template is. So a launch template is a reusable configuration for launching EC2 instances, just like a blueprint. An auto-scaling group, on the other end, uses this template to launch more EC2s when demand increases, that is scaling out, and then it will help us to terminate this EC2 instance when demand drops, that is scaling in. Now, think of it like a bakery. When the crowd grows, you add more ovens, instances, and when it is quiet and there's less services, you turn them off to save electricity. Okay, so looking at this diagram right here, this can give you a good idea of what a launch template is and how it works. So you define a launch template, then plug it into an auto-scaling group. The ASG uses CloudWatch alarms to monitor load and automatically adjust the number of EC2 instances based on your policies. Now, these policies, you will define the policies. You would say minimum instances, the desired instances, and maximum number of instances that the autoscaler group it's going to help you to spin up. Now, this might sound a little bit more complex, but it's as simple as this. We're going to jump on the AWS console and we're going to see how to go about setting up a launch template and an auto-scaling group. So log into your AWS account. I'm going to log into mine and we can proceed from here. Now, this service that we're talking about today is under the EC2 compute services. And it is just right here under instances. You come all the way to launch templates, and this is where you find it. So I'm going to click this, click launch templates, and then I'm going to click create a launch template right here. And I'll give it a name. Because I'm thinking of creating an EC2 instance with a web server running in it. So I'm going to name this one an Apache template. And here, remember I said that the launch template is like a blueprint of what you want your EC2 instance to look like every time you launch it. So we need to define everything we want to in the first place. So the next time we want to launch an instance, we're just going to say we already know what we want, and we just go ahead and click to launch an EC2 instance from that template. So the first step is to, prescribe everything you want on that EC2 instance. So the template, because you can actually create different template versions. So you can have template version 1, and later you can come back and update that particular template, maybe add a new image or increase the volume or something, and then you can from there go ahead and add version 2. The thing something happened with, let me see, I think I got logged out of my account. Let me log back in again. Sorry about that. I got logged out of the account. Let's continue from where we stopped. So give it a name, Apache template. And for now, we don't have any version, so we're just going to leave it the way it is. We need therefore we are going to use it for auto scaling guidance, so that I can use it with an auto scaling. But for now, we're just creating a simple template. So forget about all this part. Now scroll all the way down here to let's pick an AMI, and I'm going to click browse, and I would look for the Amazon Linux one. And let's see. think I'm going to use this one, and this one's free tier as well. So click that. So I have my AMI, and note that this AMI is going to be the AMI, which is like the OS for your machine. It's going to, whenever you launch a new instance, it's always going to be this AMI. Now for the instance type, I'm going to, since we're still using our free tier, I'm going to click my T2 micro. And if you want to use keys every time you create an EC2 instance and you want to be able to SSH into it, this is where you need to make sure you create a template key that you would use for SSHing into any EC2 instance that is being created with this launch template. So we are a big, proponent of using SSM to connect to our instances, eliminating the need for opening ports for SSH. So I'm not going to select any key or create any key for this launch template. I'm just going to make sure I have a security group that I can use. So let's see, we can create a new security group, and we can name this one Apache template SG. And we would leave SSH protocol out of this. And for the network, I am going to leave it at the default VPC. I'm going to add security group rule. Just add HTTP for our web browser, destination anywhere. So security group rule is set up. That's good. And scroll down, EBS, we're fine with that. We're going to stick to our free tier limits. And for the advanced details, this is where I am going to add my instance role that will allow me to SSM into that. So I'm going to include this, and I'll use this one. Let's see, SSM instance role. Pick this one, and cool. Now, what else do I need to do? Um, yes, let's do this. Let's add a user data to our launch template. We've already talked about user data in the previous videos. You can also input your user data in here. So I'm gonna just put a basic bean bash, because this is gonna be an Apache server. So I'm gonna install Apache in it. System still. Mistake here, system CTL, and simple echo here, open my, say H1, so close it, and here, save, with an index.html file right here. Right, cool. Now, with that, basically, we've set up a blueprint for all future EC2 instances that we launch with this template. And as you can see, it looks like if you're launching an EC2 instance for the first time, the configurations are pretty much the same, just some few nuances here and there that makes this different. The good thing is that once you've done this, you don't have to do it again. You can just use what this launch template to launch all future EC2 instance. And with that, I'm just going to click launch template. Oh, I forgot to put and say allow. HTTP traffic for web server. It's just a description for my security group. Click launch template, and this would take a few seconds, and the launch template should be available immediately. So I'm going to click this, sorry, to show us the launch template that we just created. And as you can see right here, all the details you need to know about this is all here. Now we've already created a launch template, and we've created a security group as well. And we've opened the port 80 for HTTP traffic. Now we basically are done with our launch template. So the next step is to associate this launch template with an autoscaling group, so that the autoscaler would use this launch template to create or spin up new EC2 instance for us in the future. So what I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to take a note of this IP address, and I'm going to put it somewhere. This, I said IP address, excuse me, the ID of the launch template, and take note of it, put it somewhere on my notepad. And now I'm going to scroll all the way down to autoscaler groups right here at the bottom. I'm going to click this now. And from here, we're going to choose uh, uh, create autoscaling group, and click that. We're going to give it a name, and I'll name this one my Apache template ASG. And here, this is where we're going to call the template that we just created. So if I click this drop down now, it should show me all the templates that I have. And this is the one we just created, the Apache template. I'm going to select that. And as you can see, it is now populated here with everything that we created for it. I'm going to click next. Now, everything else should be here. The network VPC, it will be using availability zones. Let's see if we can pick a minimum of 2 availability zones that will be used for launching our EC2 instances. I'm going to pick 1A, and I'm going to pick 1C and 1E. Just 3. I think I'm good with 3 availability zone. And for balanced effort, I want this. If launch fails in one availability zone, autoscaler will attempt to launch in another healthy availability zone. So this is what I'll be going with. If you want the balanced only, you said if launches fail in one availability zone, autoscaler will continue to attempt to launch in the unhealthy availability. I don't think you want to do this. So you want to go with, if one availability zone isn't available, please use the next availability zone. So I'm going to click next. We don't have a load balancer. We'll be discussing that in the upcoming series. For now, we're just going to skip this. There's no load balancer to be used with our autoscaler. We're going to go all the way down and click next. And for the desired capacity, we want the minimum amount of EC2 instance to be launched by this autoscaler group to be 1. So desired capacity will be 1, minimum capacity 1, maximum capacity we can increase this to 3. Just saying this is basically the policy that we are creating right now for our autoscaler, to tell the autoscaler the amount of EC2 instance we want at any given time during the automation process or the life cycle of our applications that are running in our EC2 instance. Now, on this part, uh, we will be setting some conditions to allow our autoscaler to behave the way we want it to behave. So let's click target tracking scaling process just so that we can see what is in here. And as you can see, it's giving us some more options for some of the policies, things that we can do just to make sure our autoscaler is working effectively or is meeting our requirement. Now, the scaling is going to give it a policy name, target tracking policy. and we want to be able to track, let's say, the CPU utilization of our EC2 instance. We are telling AWS, say, if our average CPU exceeds, let's say, 50%, add more EC2 instance. If it's less, please scale down. That's what we are doing right here. So the target value is 50, and we'll move down. And for here, instance maintenance policy, I always go with the mixed behavior. That is my preference. Feel free to look at all these other options and pick whichever one you like. But for me, I've always kind of stick with the mixed behavior because it helps, it works very well for our production environment, and hence that's why we've always stick to it. So, like I said, it's up to you what of the which of these maintenance policy options you want to go with. You read it, and choose which one you want. Now, moving down, I'm not going to tick anything else here. Just leave everything the way it is, and I'm going to click next. For notification, this is where if you want to add SNS notification or email, uh, you can go ahead and create an SNS topic and attach it here, and you'll be notified when something is happening to that EC2 instance. Maybe it's been shut down, or it's been a new one has been spun up. You can do all that right here. So for now, we're not going to add any notification. We'll move on to the next and click next. And this brings us to the final review page where we can see everything that we've configured on this auto scaler, including the launch template we just created, the availability zones that we were using. Three has been selected. And we've also come down here. You see where we picked the configuration, group size, and scaling policy, as well as at the bottom, you will see our it's I'm not seeing it here. Or did I miss it? We're talking about the CPU utilization, but whatever. We know what we set up, so we're good on that. So we're just gonna go at the bottom, and we're gonna click Create Auto Scaling. Now, this is gonna take a while for it to do what it needs to do. So while the auto scaler is loading up, we can, play around and take a look at the auto scaler and see what we have in there, what we've just set up. And as you can see from here, this is like the whole description of our auto scaling group. The name, we look at the desired capacity, the scaling limit, desired capacity type, number of instances. You can see right here, it's talking about the launch template that we just created that we've attached to it. So we won't have to be creating EC2 instances ourselves. So everything looks good from here. We just need to let it sit a little bit. And when everything is set up, if we go back to our EC2 instance, we should see the autoscaler already spinning up EC2 instances on our behalf. So you can see there's already one running in there. And this is it. As you can see, this EC2 instance was created using the security group we created with our template. And you can see everything looks good. I didn't create this myself. It was created via the auto scaling group and the launch template that we designed. Let's see, we have the instance rule attached. Beautiful. This was actually, instructed in our launch template. And let's give it some more time. And when it is fully ready, we will come back and run some tests to make sure everything is spun up the way we want it to spin. Thank you. All right, I think it's been about a minute, and let's check and see where we are right now. And we can see that it is up and running. Now, let's check first and foremost. Let's see if we can SSM into this EC2 instance and see if we have the HTTP Apache web server installed in it. So I'm going to SSM into it because I did set up an SSM role attached to this instance. So, a second. And now let's say sudo systemctl status httpd sudo kind of fat finger that systemctl status httpd. Beautiful. As we can see, we have our Apache web server up and running. So if we go back here and we take the public IP and we punch it in the browser, we should see a custom web page of that. And there it is. Welcome from our auto scaling EC2. Now, let's test our auto scaling group to see if it's functioning or working the way we want it to work. And to do that, we're going to run a simple basic stress test on this EC2 instance. And basically what that means is we're going to force our CPU to overreact or, make it feel like it has a lot of work to do. And that will cause the EC2 instance to, health status to notify our autoscaler group, which will take the policy that we set up for the autoscaler group, realizing that the EC2 instance have gone over the threshold of 50%, and it will force it to create additional EC2 instance. Let's do that. So let me SSM back. I'm still okay. I'm still in here. Let me clear the screen, and I'm going to install because I'm using an Amazon image, AMI image. I'm going to use the package manager to install a Perl. That's why. Right. So my package manager is installing. Good. It says complete. All right. Now I'm going to do sudo yum install this package for stress testing my EP is a Linux server. Good. I have installed the stress test. Now I can run this command, and this command will force our EC2 instance to go on overdrive. And if it goes overdrive, it will force it to actually uh, report to the auto scaling group that it is being stressed out, and the auto scaling group will realize the L status of our EC2 instance is compromised, and he will be forced to spin up extra EC2 instance. So the command will be stress. That's just CPU. I'm going to say 4 just to put too much work on this. I say timeout is 300. And let's see. So we're stress testing our EC2 right now. And this would cause our EC2 instance. If you check in your monitoring, and you will see that it is screaming already. We are on a 5 minutes timeline, so we won't be able to see it right now. But what we should be able to see is our auto scaling group. I'm going to open this in a new tab, and we're going to go here, open this up, and go to activities right here, and let's see what's happening. So for now, I don't see anything. It says launch a new EC2 instance. Let's see if it's gonna help us, start launching a new EC2 instance with the stress test that we're going. Let's make sure the stress test is not failing. All right, it's not failing. It's still holding. Let's go back to our EC2 dashboard, and I'm going to click refresh to see if what is happening right now. Okay, we'll give it some more time. So we'll have to wait a little bit, for the EC2 instance to actually report the stress test to the autoscaler, which will be forced to actually start spinning up an extra EC2 instance. So let's give it another 5 more minutes, and we'll come back and see what's happening with our server. All right, it's been roughly 5 minutes. Let's see where we have. Oh, okay, as you can see here, it says stress info successfully run completed in 300 seconds, which is equivalent to the 5 minutes. Let's see if we have any instances being popped up right here as a result of the stress. Ah, yes, we can see a new EC2 instance is actually coming up. We didn't initiate this. We just our auto scaling group policy that we set up in the first place is what's doing it. Let's go check the auto scaling group. Let's see what's happening here. And of course, it is showing that waiting for instance warm up. It launch a new EC2 instance. So a new EC2 instance is being launched, and a monitor alarm target tracking Apache template alarm high Instead, alarm triggered policy tracking, policy changing desired state from 1 to 2. An instance was started in response to a difference between desired and actual capacity, increasing the capacity from 1 to 2. So you can see that our auto scaling group policy has been triggered and it's working and it is spinning up a new EC2 instance for us. So if we go back here and we look at instance management, we should see now there are two healthy instances running in our environment. Where we had one before, now we have two. So this means that our second EC2 instance is up and running. And we can go and actually check if the launch template was used in launching this EC2 instance. Remember, we have Apache installed in this one. Let's see if this new one also have the same Apache web server installed in it. So I'm going to take the public IP and go into my browser and paste that here. And let's see. And there we go. So you can see it's like a clone of the first EC2 instance using the same launch template that the first EC2 instance was used to by the autoscaler and creating a second EC2 instance. Now, just some additional pro tips just for your own guidance and information. So note that you should always use launch templates for auto scaling and not the old school launch config. They are legacy, and I know some people still are kind of used to it and they still want to stick to the legacy uh, resources. But for now, everybody is shifting away from the launch configs and everybody's going into launch template. And if you can look here before, you used to have the launch config somewhere around here under auto scaling, and I think AWS is beginning to actually take it slowly out of the picture, and the launch template has come to stay. So for production, always use multiple availability zones for high availability. In our case, we use 3 when we're setting up our auto scaling, and that is actually the right way. You don't want to have everything in one place. You want to have them all at least in 3 availability zone. As you can see right here, I have it in 1. US is 1A, 1C, and 1E. Now, it's always good to set up monitoring as well. So you're able to see what's happening in CloudWatch. You can monitor your environment. You can also integrate the auto-scaling group with your application load balancer. We will be covering that in future series as well, so you can see how that is done. Now, that is it I have for you guys today. That's all I have for you. Um, Today, we kind of took a deep dive into launch templates and auto-scaling groups. And with these two tools, we see how we can automate instance provisioning. We can handle unpredictable traffic and build more resilient cloud application. So in the next episode, we will explore how to create and use custom AMIs, another critical piece when combining scaling and automation. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, because this will encourage us to produce more content like this and make us want to be able to show you more things from the worlds of cloud DevOps engineering. Thank you, and I will see you guys in the next class.